A lot of people ask me why I invested in Volpara, because it was a research project at Oxford University. But the things I looked for were what was the size of the market, what was the problem that was being solved. So the focus is on breast cancer. There is no cure for breast cancer, but early detection of breast cancer gives a woman a much greater chance of survival. Even though Volpara is a New Zealand company listing on the ASX, it really is a global company from day one. I did a study once years ago with McKinsey's where we came up with the term born global, and this is very true of Volpara. So the original research work was done at Oxford University under Professor Mike Brady, in fact Sir Mike Brady, who's had a fantastic track record of spinning off research out of Oxford and MIT prior to that. He's on the board as an example of Oxford Instruments, which is a major LSE-listed company. And Ralph Hinem, who's the co-founder and CEO of Volpara, did his PhD under Mike Brady at Oxford and then became a research fellow for a number of years. And then they commercialised their first iteration of what is now Volpara. That company was in fact sold, was licensed to Siemens Medical Imaging globally, and then was eventually sold to a company called R2 in the US. So the team, the technical team, have been together now for over 20 years and have an existing track record of commercialising research out of universities. The reason it got to New Zealand, which a lot of people ask, is that Ralph met his wife at Oxford. She was doing her PhD and she was a Kiwi and eventually took a posting in Wellington Hospital. So Ralph figured you could write the software anywhere in the world, and New Zealand's actually not a bad place, lower labour costs, etc. So whilst it is a New Zealand company and listing on the ASX, it really is a global company. The technology, and as Philip mentioned, I've been in the computer software industry. Before I owned Buckridge, I set up my own software business, starting way back in the 70s and 80s. I took that to the US and built that to $100 million in US revenue, 300 million overall, and that was in 1990, so whatever that's worth today. So I do have a lot of experience in taking companies into the US, and a lot of companies do stumble. You have great technology, but then you've got, it's all about obviously sales and marketing. In the breast cancer market, the US is the major market, but it is a global market, obviously. There's something like 1 in 8 women get breast cancer in developed countries. The figures in Asia and developing countries are going exactly the same way. It wasn't an issue a number of years ago. It's now something like 1 in 10 women in Asia get breast cancer. So it's a huge global problem. And at the moment, basically all women are treated the same in terms of radiation dosage, methods, of mammograms. You've either got private sector screening in the US or government-funded sector screening, which is public sector screening, which is predominantly in Europe. We have a mixture here in Australia, probably about almost 50-50 in both. We're focused on the US because that's both the biggest market. It's a private sector market, so we can get traction a lot quicker, and it's also the market that everybody looks at. The major conference in radiology around the world is held in the US, and people look at the trends there and they start to filter out. One of the key things that we measure, we have quite a portfolio of patents on, is density. And density is a double whammy. If a woman has dense breasts, it's quite possible an early cancer will be not detected because it shows as a whiteout on a screen where the fibrous tissue is a whiteout. It's like, as Mike Brady says, it's looking for a snowflake in a snowstorm. Also, if a woman has dense breasts, she's more likely to get a more aggressive form of cancer, more likely to get cancer and a more aggressive form. There was an article in the paper just in the Adelaide Advertiser just last week of a woman who ended up with breast cancer, a significant cancer, and it was missed, even though she had mammogram through the state screening program. It's talked about litigation and the like, and it was missed because of density. And she's quoting here, the message needs to get out to women to ask the question, have I got dense breasts? And if you have a dense breast, then you need adjunctive screening, which would be ultrasound or MRI. That's our core intellectual property. Mike, Ralph and the team are really the first people in the world to be able to actually compute density, which is obviously a three-dimensional issue, and so that's where our patents are. It's very complex mathematics and physics. Mike Brady himself was a professor of mathematics and physics and then computer science. He's now a professor of oncology as well at Oxford. So he applied his world-class image processing skills to this oncology when his mother-in-law got breast cancer. So the technology is global. We still have a small group at Oxford. Mike is a global figure. He participates in all major conferences and research around the world. As you probably know, the likes of Google, Microsoft, IBM, many other IT companies are all moving into health. Mike has direct access into some of the absolute top people in these areas. So, as I say, even though it's a small New Zealand-based company, our links are global. The technology is absolutely first-rate, with something like 70-odd papers now written, all sorts of tests and double-blind tests and all the rest of it. We have FDA approval, CE approval. Still a lot of countries have little idiosyncrasies, if you like, in their regulatory environment. So we're still going through some of those in some countries. But we've actually got installations in over 30 countries now. Many of those installations are sort of beachheads. They're in a university, a research centre, government laboratory. They're not all commercial installations. We're seeding the market. But our major focus is very much the US. Now, a lot of companies struggle when you move from a research and development and engineering culture and discipline into sales and marketing. And I really set the challenge to the company about a year ago now. We had to get our sales and marketing as good as our technology. And I'm really, really happy with the progress we've made on that front. We've essentially hired a team that have worked together in previous iterations. I mentioned that a previous company that Mike Brady and Ralph founded was sold to this company R2 in the States. That company in turn was acquired by Hologic, who are the #1 mammography company in the world. We've hired Julian Marshall, who was one of their senior people, a marketing guy, business development, had various roles with Hologic globally. He's based in Silicon Valley. And we've hired Mark Cronenberg, who's the head of sales and marketing. These guys all worked for R2 before it was acquired. John Pavlevis, who was the CEO of R2 before it was acquired and then worked at Hologic, is on our board. He's San Francisco based. And I think 3 of our sales guys in the US, again, all worked with R2. And bear in mind, R2 bought Ralph and Mike's previous software. So we've got a team, really as a first-rate team. In all the other companies I'm involved in, I've got 6 or 7 other companies that currently that are operating in the US that I've taken there from Australia. To hire a team like that, it's quite unusual. You normally wouldn't be able to do it, but these guys are global players. I've walked the halls in trade shows with them and had very senior executives from GE, Hologic and others all come up to them. They're very well known industry, highly respected for the technical side. And what we're now doing is layering on top of that the sales and marketing. A little bit about the market size. As I said, it's a major sector globally. Our first product it measures density. That's our sort of core platform. We have 2 other products. One is already launched called Analytics, which also measures a whole lot of quality and image quality, operator performance, a lot of productivity issues in a clinic. The actual quality of the image is very sensitive to operator skill and the radiation dosage that a woman gets. At the moment, one size fits all. We're able to personalise that dosage to the particular women. There is a global trend of not just women, but people taking more responsibility, if you like, more knowledge about their own health and the like. And there's a lady in the States, Nancy Capella, who had mammograms every year but had dense breasts, as cancer was missed. She has mounted a lobby, and now there are 20 states in the US, including New York, California, Texas, that have passed legislation that density must be measured and must be informed. A woman must be informed of density and the implications of that. That's the only country in the world that's happened. Looking at this sort of thing in Australia and potential litigation, we'll be mounting some marketing information, some education of women and radiologists and the like all around the whole issue of density. But density is our sort of foundation, so these other products we're going to build on top of that, because we're actually able to measure a lot of the quality and productivity in clinics. In the US, there's quite a lot of large chains that have multiple sites, and we'll be able to measure performance, productivity, and compare that. The interesting thing is when we talk about our analytics product and our enterprise product that's coming be released in July, we're now talking to the people running, actually with the purse strings, and the people who are running the clinics, the management of the clinics. Pure density product, we talk to radiologists who often want to buy our software, but they have to fight for budget and all the rest of it. We're also moving from a pure CapEx model, because our initial software was sold sort of as part of a CapEx. People are used to CapEx, they're buying mammograms or X-ray machines, etc. But when we look at the productivity of the whole and the quality issues, and by and large this is a regulated industry, so performance of radiologists and the like, the quality has to be reported. So when we do that, we're moving to a SaaS model, cloud-based model. The next implication of that is that we then start to accumulate a lot of data about breast cancer and the like, and we see additional products further down the track in terms of big data and analysis of that. So we've got a very innovative team. We've got a guy and Julian and our sales guys in the States who really know this industry, really know where the opportunities are inside this space. So we absolutely don't see a problem in having further products coming down the track. Obviously, we have to convert what we have today, and that's our emphasis. We're quick out of the blocks. We've already hired 3 new sales guys, all known to this same group, who literally start next week. We're going to hire a head of Europe. We're doing trials in a lot of countries in Europe. So we've got a lot of things going on, but overall, look, there's no question about the quality of the technology, and I'm really happy about what we've been building on the sales and marketing.